So we're going to move on now to the body section, which is the main base of the tank. And for this, we're going to be using all of the 3 tools that you've learnt so far. So the multi-cut tool, the bevel and the extrude. So you get an opportunity to put all of these tools into practice. The first thing I want to do is to just reposition this gun so it looks a little bit better before we get started. So I'm just going to move it in just so it intersects there. And then I'm going to also rotate the gun so it's just pointing in the same direction, or it's kind of continuing the flow of the turret, and it looks like it's kind of part of the same object now. So the first thing we'll do, same as what we did with the turret, we're going to start off with a cube, and I'm going to just start to pull and push the scale and position until we get it about right. Okay, so we can always come back and slightly adjust the scale, relative scale of this cube. But for now, that will do, and we can start creating our basic shape. I'm just going to just make one small adjustment, just make it a little bit smaller there. Okay, so I'm going to click on my cube that will be my body, and I'm going to isolate it. To do that, I'm going to use this little icon up here. It's called Isolate Select, and it's the mouse icon with the dashed square, sorry. So with that selected, I'm going to click that, and it's just going to isolate my viewport so that I can only see this cube object. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to start working with the shape that we want to try and recreate. The first tool I'm going to use I'm going to do is just make some minor shape adjustments before we start adding our cuts to make our life a little bit easier. So I'm going to go into edge selection mode. I'm going to select this bottom edge here because I want this to kind of angle upwards at the back of the tank a little bit. Then I'm going to start using our multi-cut tool to start adding some more detail to our shape. So I'm going to add a cut there at 50%, and another cut there at 50%. A cut there in the middle. I'm going to add 2 additional cuts in between these sections. So one here and one here. So I'm going to select these 2 edges and bring them back. So I'm going to select these 2 edges here, and just bring them forward to start just blocking in that really basic shape. What I'd like to do slightly as well is just bring out or flare the middle section, and to do this I'm just going to select these 2 vertex and these 2 vertex, and I'm going to use the scale tool and just scale them out in the red axis or the X axis, just so I've got a little bit of a flare, a little bit of shape detail there. And I'll do the same here. I'll just bring this single point and I'll just bring it out so it kind of flares out a little bit in the middle. I'm going to add 2 additional cuts intersecting these two sections at 50%. Switching into edge mode, I'm going to select both of these edge loops and just scale them towards each other. From the top angle here, I want to start to shape this rear section. I want this to be a little bit of a curve from the top angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch into the actual top viewport. So if I press the space bar, this time going into the top viewport and press the space bar again. And I'm going to switch into vertex mode. And I'm going to bring out this section, or this vertex a little bit. These two vertex a little bit as well, so we start to get a little bit of a curve shape. Select all of them, just bring them back so we get a nice arc there at the back of the tank. We can add another 2 additional cuts in the middle of these 2 sections, just so that we can have a little bit more of a curve here. Smooth the curve just along the back here. And I'm going to switch back into my perspective viewport, or my normal viewport, and take a look at the result. Okay, that's looking okay for now. I might just soften these edges here. So I'm going to grab them both in the top viewport, bring them back and scale them towards each other ever so slightly. So, okay, so we're just getting a little bit more character to the shape. I might flare this middle section out a little bit. And what we can do as well is add a couple more cuts in between here for the 50% and 50%. And again, we'll just select the whole edge loop, and I will scale that up just so that I can get a little bit more of a definition and curve to the shape from the top angle. Okay, so I think we're heading in a good direction with the overall shape. We might do is go to the side view. So we've got this vertex that's kind of going a little bit off the edge flow of this particular edge loop. So I'm just going to grab it from the side view this time. I'm going to make sure I'm clicking and dragging to select rather than just selecting. That will make sure that the back one is also being selected. I'm just going to drag it back just so it's just flowing a little bit nicer with the rest of the edges. We'll go back to our normal viewport or our perspective viewport and take a look at the object overall. Perhaps at this stage we could also bring back the top section just to see how it's looking overall, and I'm pretty happy with the basic shape that I've blocked in so far, so we can start to add some more detail. So I'm going to use the extrude tool next. So go to face and select these faces along here, bottom, and I'm going to extrude. So we go to here and go to our modeling toolkit and click on extrude. I'm going to switch to our scale tool and just scale that down. So we've created these 2 sections that our wheels or that our wheels will be going into. So I'm going to scale that down. We scale it a little bit in that red or x-axis. So I'm pretty happy with that. We can always go in and find that. Need to. So we're almost ready now to add that final bevel to smooth up our edges on the object. But before I do that, I'm going to just delete the faces on the underneath section because we no longer require them, as this is where our wheels will eventually be put in. So I'm going to go into my face selection mode and hold down Tab, and I'm going to paint select, just drag my mouse around and select all of these faces, and then I'm just going to delete them. I don't need them. And then I'm going to start my beveling process. So for this, we need to make sure we're in edge mode, and we're going to do it in 2 sections. So the main section is going to be our sort of main edges that are around the corner of the object. So all of these sections. So we want to apply a very similar bevel to all of these edges. Okay, so those are the edges that we need to select. Probably want to also select these edges here, inside, by a similar bevel. So once we have all of those edges selected, we are ready to apply our bevel. So again, to the modelling toolkit and click on bevel. I want to probably in this instance add 2 segments, and we'll probably go similar to what we did with the turret, not too sharp, but also not too soft, where we lose our shape. Go about in between there to around here, I think. And the last bevel we need to do is across this section, this horizontal section, making sure we've got everything selected by double clicking, and then we'll go to bevel again. Probably need another segment and adjust that fraction so we're still getting a nice sharp corner around our